Remember when Family Guy was the show? When everyone quoted it, everyone watched it, and hating on it was social suicide? Yeah, well, that's ancient history now. Family Guy went from comedy gold to comedy punching bag, and honestly, the backlash was brutal. What happened to make everyone turn on the Griffin family so hard? Today, we're breaking down why everyone suddenly turned on Family Guy. Family Guy in the early 2000s hit different. This was the show that got canceled, then came back because fans literally wouldn't shut up about it. DVD sales were insane, Adult Swim reruns ruled late night TV, and everyone had their favorite cutaway burned into their brain. The chaos was the point. Random pop culture references, completely unhinged cutaways, comedy that went places other shows wouldn't dare touch. While The Simpsons played it safe and South Park made political statements, Family Guy just existed to be funny. No deeper meaning, no life lessons, just pure comedic anarchy. And it worked. People quoted it constantly, forums were flooded with references, and suddenly everyone spoke fluent Family Guy. The randomness felt genius back then. But timing is everything in comedy. Family Guy arrived at the perfect moment, right when people were getting tired of overly sanitized TV and wanted something that felt dangerous. The show didn't just break the fourth wall. It demolished it, rebuilt it, then had Peter crash through it in a giant chicken costume. The internet helped too. This was peak meme culture, when sharing random clips and inside jokes was how people connected online. Family Guy was designed for this. Every episode was packed with quotable moments and bizarre visuals that translated perfectly to early social media. Forums like Something Awful and early Reddit were obsessed with the show's absurdist humor. What made it special wasn't just the jokes, it was how unpredictable everything felt. You never knew if a cutaway would last 5 seconds or 5 minutes, whether it would reference a 1980s movie or medieval history or just be completely made up nonsense. The writers seemed to have complete creative freedom, and it showed. What made Family Guy special, those wild out-of-nowhere cutaways, turned into its biggest problem. The randomness that once felt inspired started feeling lazy. Like the writers were throwing darts at a board instead of actually writing jokes. Fans caught on quickly. Online communities pointed out how formulaic everything became. Setup, cutaway, punchline, repeat. The show that used to surprise you became predictable. Instead of, holy crap, where did that come from? It became, oh great, another cutaway. Remember when Peter was just a lovable idiot? When his stupidity was endearing instead of genuinely disturbing? Yeah, that Peter is long gone. He's morphed into this narcissistic psychopath who destroys everything he touches, and somehow we're supposed to laugh at it. The same thing happened to everyone. Meg went from an awkward teenager to a human punching bag. Brian became this pretentious hypocrite nobody could stand. Stewie's whole murderous baby thing stopped being charming and started being genuinely unsettling. The characters lost their humanity. They became walking punchlines instead of actual people, and fans noticed. Hard to root for a family when every single member is awful in their special way. This wasn't just bad writing. It was a fundamental misunderstanding of what made the characters work originally. Early Peter was dumb, but had a good heart. He genuinely loved his family, even when his actions caused problems. Later, Peter became actively malicious, hurting people on purpose and showing zero remorse. There's a massive difference between lovable fool and sociopathic monster, and the writers apparently couldn't see it. The same pattern hit every character. Lois went from patient but firm mother to shrill nag. Chris went from a sweet kid to a creepy weirdo. Even minor characters became extreme versions of their original traits until they were unwatchable. There's edgy, and then there's just mean. Family Guy crossed that line and kept running. The jokes stopped being about clever observations or absurd situations and became about making fun of people for existing. Social media made this worse, or better, depending on how you look at it. Clips of the show's most uncomfortable moments started going viral, but not because people thought they were funny. More like, can you believe they aired this? The internet turned Family Guy into a case study in how not to do comedy. While Family Guy was stuck doing the same bits from 2003, every other animated show was evolving. Rick and Morty came out swinging with actual science fiction concepts mixed with dark humor. BoJack Horseman proved that cartoons could tackle serious topics without being preachy. Even Bob's Burgers showed that you could be wholesome and hilarious at the same time. Family Guy started looking like that friend who peaked in high school and won't stop talking about it. Every other show in the game was getting smarter, funnier, more creative, and Family Guy was just there. Still doing chicken fights and random celebrity impressions like it was 2005. The contrast became impossible to ignore. Shows like Adventure Time and Steven Universe were pushing animation in completely new directions, experimenting with storytelling techniques and visual styles that made Family Guy look ancient. Even older shows like The Simpsons occasionally managed to surprise people with genuinely clever episodes that reminded everyone why they fell in love with the show in the first place. Meanwhile, Family Guy seemed content to coast on its reputation, churning out the same formula week after week. The creative stagnation was obvious to anyone paying attention. When newer shows were winning awards and critical acclaim, Family Guy was becoming a punchline itself. The kind of humor Family Guy specialized in just stopped being funny to most people. As conversations around mental health and representation became mainstream, Family Guy's anything goes comedy started feeling gross instead of rebellious. Other shows adapted. South Park found ways to stay edgy while being smart. Family Guy doubled down on the same approach from 20 years ago, regardless of whether anyone was still laughing. The exact moment everyone turned on Family Guy is hard to pin down, but you can feel when it happened. Suddenly, the criticism wasn't just from a few angry fans, it was everywhere. YouTube essays about the show's decline started getting millions of views. Twitter threads dissecting what went wrong became regular content. Family Guy humor became an insult. The randomness that made the show special became its biggest weakness. When everyone else was telling smarter jokes with better characters, Family Guy's commitment to chaos just looked childish. The internet, which had made Family Guy a phenomenon in the first place, completely turned against it. And once the internet decides you're done, you're pretty much done. Family Guy isn't dead. It's still making new episodes, still has fans, and still makes money. The show everyone suddenly hates somehow keeps trucking along, and plenty of people are still watching. Maybe that's the real story here. Maybe Family Guy didn't get worse. Maybe we just got older. The jokes that killed us when we were teenagers hit different when you're an adult dealing with real-world problems. The chaos that felt revolutionary at 15 feels exhausting at 30. Or maybe it's simpler. Maybe 20-plus years is just too long for any comedy show. When most series get canceled after 3 seasons, running for 2 decades means you're gonna disappoint the people who loved your early stuff. That's just math. The backlash against Family Guy says as much about us as it does about the show, about how our tastes change, how our values evolve, and how the internet turns everything into either the best thing ever or complete garbage, with no middle ground. Family Guy's fall from grace is really about change, how comedy evolves, how audiences grow up, and how sometimes the things we loved don't age well. The show gave us years of laughs and countless memes. That doesn't just disappear because the later seasons sucked. But it's also a warning about standing still in entertainment. The shows that survive are the ones that grow with their audiences, that take risks, that evolve. Maybe Family Guy couldn't change. Maybe it changed too much. Or maybe the real issue was never with Family Guy at all. Maybe we grew up and Family Guy stayed the same. What do you think? Did Family Guy get worse, or did we just outgrow it? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want more deep dives into shows that fell from grace, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, there's a lot more where this came from.